Mecha has always been one of my favorite anime genres, and it has been a really long time since we have any good political mecha animes. But ever since 86 was released, it has certainly given me hope that the genre is still alive. The interesting storyline and concepts were definitely what intrigued me, but the world building itself is also so good. That's why I wanted to start this new series where I take a look at each of the mechs, and it's only natural that I'll be starting with the M1A4 Juggernaut that we first see in the anime. Now this may or may not contain spoilers, so here's a warning just in case, and if you want to see more 86 content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and feel free to subscribe to the channel. First off, starting with how the M1A4 Juggernaut was first developed, it was created by the Republic of San Magnolia as an answer to the new unmanned autonomous drones of the Giadid Empire, or simply known as the Legion. It took the Republic military industries around 2 years to finally develop their own drones, which are known as Republic Militarized Autonomous Drones or Juggernauts, by using recovered Legion wreckages. The current Juggernaut is known as the M1A4 Juggernaut, that stands for Model 1 Alteration 4. So moving on, because the Republic lacked the technology to reproduce the artificial intelligence of the Legion, it's only called an autonomous drone in name and is actually piloted by the prosecuted 86. Since the 86 are all considered to be non-humans, the Republic has tricked itself into believing that the Juggernauts are not manned by humans, so there are no human casualties in the war. The 86 are even referred to as processors to maintain the illusion that they are just part of the autonomous Juggernauts. But having said that, the appearance of the newly produced Juggernauts resembled that of a prowling spider, although with the two grappling sub-arms and its back-mounted gun, it looks more like a scorpion instead. As for details on the dimensions of a Juggernaut, the body by itself has an overall height of 2.1 meters, with a length of 5.4 meters, and weighs in at around 9,000 kilograms. For the specifications, the Juggernaut relies on a new form of movement system which uses a quadrupedal walker system that is fitted with oscillation sensors that allow it to detect approaching ground enemies. But unlike the more complicated 6-legged systems of the Amis or the 8-legged systems of the Low, which are stronger, the Juggernaut's quadrupedal design is far more underpowered, so its carrying capacity is limited, meaning it can only be fitted with lightweight armor and smaller caliber guns. Another drawback is that because the weight of the Juggernaut is distributed to only 4 legs, it has extremely high ground pressure, so it is unable to traverse soft terrain, otherwise they risk getting stuck. Although it suffers from a few mobility problems, at least it can maneuver better than conventional treaded tanks, allowing it to move at a cruising speed of 60 km per hour. But again, when it's compared to the Legion drones like the Low, which moves at 100 km per hour, a Juggernaut is far slower. However, the Juggernaut is able to make up for the inferior speed through its multi-directional mobility, more accurately its ability to move and perform vertical maneuvers, which allows it to exploit the weak points located above that most Legion units have. But due to the fact that the Juggernauts are poorly designed and made, the moves that the processors execute can damage the Juggernaut itself if done too often. This is why Juggernauts need constant maintenance, otherwise it would start breaking down if the operation period is too long. Now moving over to the weapons of the Juggernaut, for the main one, it's usually equipped with a 57mm smoothbore gun mounted on the back. The 57mm is able to fire 2 types of rounds, the APFSDS rounds, which is an acronym for Armor-Piercing Fin Stabilized Discarding Sabot, and the HESH rounds that stands for High Explosive Squash Head. The AP rounds are mainly used against heavy armored Legion types such as the Low, while the HE rounds are mainly used against light armored Legion types like the Amis, or it can even be used against buildings and fortifications like concrete bunkers and gates. Additionally, there's another variant of the main weapon specialized for sniping, which was mostly seen used by the processor Gunslinger. It's still the same 57mm smoothbore gun, but it has a longer barrel to optimize ballistic stability so it can provide accurate long-range fire. For the secondary weapon of the Juggernaut, standard models are equipped with 2 12.7mm heavy machine guns attached to the sub-arms, but the guns can also be swapped out for 2 high-frequency blades that are used mainly for close combat, although processors rarely use this attachment because of the risk needed to get close to any Legion drones. Besides that, standard Juggernauts also come equipped with grappling arms which can fire 2 sets of wire anchors. This allows for various users on the battlefield, but it's mainly used to compensate for the lack of mobility. That said, despite being the main fighting force of the Republic, because of the rush production of the Juggernauts, they suffer from not just the movement system problems I mentioned just now, they also have plenty of other weaknesses as well that led to the deaths of numerous processors. For example, when it comes to the armor of a Juggernaut, the body was only fitted with lightweight aluminium alloy armor, so there was barely any protection, and it was so fragile that just machine gun fire was enough to penetrate it. This is why artillery strikes are the best way to take out Juggernauts, because they don't even need to be a precise hit. Just the shockwave and shrapnel from the impact is already enough to take one out of commission. The weak armor was likely because the Republic just didn't care and only wanted to cut the cost of producing it, but the real reason is that since the Juggernaut was classified as a drone, they just wanted to give the bare minimum so the processors can fight the Legion while making sure they can die easily. I mean, it didn't even have any built-in life support systems or equipment. And if you didn't know, processors actually caused the cockpit of the Juggernaut as the guillotine for its tendency to snap off from the machine when struck, most of the time resulting in fatal injuries thanks to the lack of safety features or even calling it a steel coffin simply because of how extremely cramped and dark the interior is. Speaking of the cockpit, the interior is said to be designed similar to a jet fighter's, with a clamshell cockpit design, and the inside is filled with numerous switches, computer displays, and 2 control sticks to the left and right. But unlike a conventional jet fighter that has a clear bulletproof glass windshield, the Juggernaut's cockpit was completely enclosed by an armored canopy, so processors are unable to see anything outside. To compensate for the lack of direct visibility, the cockpit was equipped with 3 displays that are connected to external cameras which allow processors to indirectly see outside. Again, because the Republic had to cut corners with the rush production of the Juggernaut, many of the displays have terrible resolutions or they just didn't work properly, affecting the awareness and visibility of processors that greatly reduced their chances of survival even further. But besides the 3 displays, there's an additional holographic window which is used to provide all battlefield data and information. This was honestly the only decent feature the Juggernaut has. The onboard computer was at least good enough to provide detailed field calculations or transmit and receive updated information quickly when it's needed. Now, the machine is only as good as the pilot, and thanks to the many flaws and subpar specs of the Juggernaut, processors had to get creative and develop various ways to deal with the far superior machines of the Legion. And luckily for many processors, being literally raised on the battlefield meant that some were able to stay alive long enough to teach numerous tactics to other newer processors, somewhat increasing their already low chances of survival. One of these tactics is the use of guerrilla warfare, setting up ambushes and employing the vertical mobility of the Juggernauts to flank enemy positions. However, this was only able to work simply because the Legion employed very logical and predictable battlefield tactics, whereas processors constantly had to adapt to compensate for their weaker machine. Another preferred method to fight against the Legion is taking advantage of the high ground, positioning the Juggernauts on top of tall buildings or hills so they can target the weak points located on the top or the back of the Legion. But because of the low caliber guns, it normally takes multiple Juggernauts just to take down the highly armored Legion units. And finally, this is one of my personal favorite tactics used to fight against the Legion, and that is to just get good. I mean, if processors are able to perform just half of the stunts and maneuvers that Shin manages to pull off, they can basically solo most of the Legion. However, no matter how good a processor is or tactically advantageous they are, in the end, the swarm tactics of the Legion will eventually overwhelm them, and the sacrificial tactics of the Republic definitely were no help too. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about the M1A4 Juggernaut, the specifications of the unit, its strengths and weaknesses, as well as the tactics employed by them in battle. Additionally, I want to mention the M101 Barrett autonomous support drone that was developed by the Republic to assist Juggernaut squadrons in battle. The specs are as follows. It has a length of 3.1 meters and stands at a height of 2.5 meters. The Barrett is equipped with 2 high operation crane arms to grab objects and 1 large container mount to store supplies with a total loading capacity of 9,000 kilograms. As a support unit, its main function is to bring additional ammunition and supply packs to the battlefield so Juggernauts can resupply quickly, but it's also responsible for collecting the wreckages and leftover supplies from broken Juggernauts after a battle has ended. Unlike the Juggernaut, the Barrett actually has an AI system in place, although it's extremely simple. But interestingly enough, Fido, the unit that serves the Spearhead Squadron, somehow managed to develop its cognitive abilities to a level that allows it to understand the processes and to a certain extent think for itself.
本当にバカだ。
But anyways, that's all for today. Did you manage to learn anything new about the Juggernauts? What do you think of this video series, and do you want to see more 86 content? Please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below and liking the video to let me know. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more anime breakdowns and hitting that notification bell to stay up to date with my content. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.